to just see like, hey, what can I do in the postpartum period in order to make sure that, I feel my best and I have everything I need to heal. So yeah, that's what's in the bio. So check that out. If you're interested in any of them or all three, feel free to take them. They're absolutely free. Only thing it'll cost you is your email address. Okay, so that's what's in the bio, and we will go ahead and get started with Lisa. Lisa is, oh, there she is. Okay. Here? Yep, she is. I see her now. Okay. So I'll add Lisa now, and then I'll allow Lisa to just introduce herself and her business and what she does. Hey, how are
Hey
you?
Dario, hey guys. Thank you for listening today.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining. And I'm sorry that we're starting a little bit late. Can you see me and hear me okay?
I can,
Okay,
yes. Yeah,
perfect.
everything's good.
Okay, perfect. So then, Lisa, why don't you introduce yourself, introduce your business, and like tell everyone how you help families?
Sounds good. So, my business is Nurture Occupational Therapy. I support parents in their transition to parenthood. So, that's
Mhm.
both physically and emotionally. I actually trained as an occupational therapist, and one of the things that is great about occupational therapy is we are dual trained in physical and mental health. Um,
Oh.
and so that gives us kind of that broad, kind of holistic view that really helps us to help new parents. Most people have heard of occupational therapists, but I
Mhm.
just kind of wanted to say a little bit more about what they are because people are like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, I've heard of that. And it's to do with not your job as in occupation, it's more occupation as in what occupies you. So that can be
Mm.
really broad. Occupational therapists can work throughout the lifespan with a lot of different people. Maternal health and occupational therapy is kind of a new area, but somewhere that we can definitely support new parents. So I'm super excited to be here today and share some tips with you guys.
Yeah, so Lisa, say a little bit more about how occupational therapy and maternal health are related. So, like, what types of things would you support a new family through with typical clients?
Yeah, it depends very much on the needs of the client. So a lot of my work, when we were allowed to do home visits, I would go into the home and do a full assessment of kind of the environment and what needs to happen to make that parent feel like supported in their parenting
Mm.
journey. So that might be they're experiencing some pain when they're holding baby. So maybe they have wrist pain, that's quite common, back pain from bending down a lot and not doing things in a kind of ergonomic way as we kind of explain. But it may also be that the parents are struggling with returning to the activities that they love, and that could be, really
Mm.
impacting on their mental health because we all know, the routine kind of goes out of the window. The things that you
Right,
used to, maybe you don't have time for them anymore. So a lot of my
right.
work is also around kind of building a new routine and just making sure that those parents feel supported.
Yeah, it's a lot of lifting when you have a baby. That's unexpected. A lot of lifting, a lot of carrying. I remember like when my baby was small, I would refuse to go places just because I didn't want to like lug the car seat around the store like while I was shopping, right? So yeah, it's a lot of lifting, bending. So I'm happy that occupational therapists are here in order to support you and make sure that you're physically feeling your best and doing things in an ergonomic way. So talk about like what you want to share with us as far as like looking after yourself while you're also looking after your baby.
Mhm. I think one of the main things, so I've actually started doing groups for moms now, my Growing Together
Oh,
groups, which are online, just because I realized that moms were really looking for that connection, especially during these times. It's so
yeah.
difficult for moms to get out and meet other moms, and we all need that village around us.
Yeah.
So one of my top tips is to try and connect with other moms. So if you're kind of reaching out, if you're watching these lives, that's great. This is a great place to kind of meet other new moms, looking for kind of local community centres or anyone that is running mom and baby groups, even if they are online now, that's still a great place to connect.
For
Um,
sure.
in terms of like the physical things that we can do to support ourselves,
Mhm.
when we have a baby, and I'll just bring this down a little bit so you can see what I'm doing,
Oh,
because
okay.
I'll be talking about our breathing.
Okay.
And as we know, kind of when we have a baby, we have a lot of there's not a lot of space like where your diaphragm is. The baby kind of
Right.
pushes upwards, and you're not able to kind of take a deep breath in. So that really affects how you're able to breathe and your breathing patterns. So one thing I get a lot of new moms to do is just to put their hands kind of around their rib cage and
Mm-hmm.
try and take a deep breath in, so that you're putting your breath into all parts of your hand, so the front, the sides, and the back. And this is really difficult actually for new moms, because their rib cage can be stuck kind of in an outward position because there's been a baby in there for 9 months. And so it's just kind of getting that movement and mobility back in the ribs, and that can really help to kind of make you feel less anxious as well.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, if you have a shallow breathing pattern where you're only kind of bringing your breath into the upper part of your lungs, you are more likely to feel more anxious because you're not taking in as much oxygen.
Right.
So kind of getting that breathing kind of down and fixed is one of the first things that I like to work on. It's funny though, because when I say to moms, oh, let's work on breathing, they're like, no, Lisa, I'm good. I can already breathe. Like, so,
Right.
so that's one of the things that I like to start as kind of a building block. And that can help in a lot of different areas. So that's one of my top tips, just making sure that your rib cage is expanding on an inhale and coming back inwards again for that exhale.
Nice.
Exhaling on exertion is my second tip. So whenever you're doing anything difficult, like you were talking about, kind of bringing baby out the car and kind of carrying them around, when you do that first movement, breathe out, okay? And this will help you to manage the pressure in your abdomen. If you put too much pressure, or if you're holding your breath too much, then that can put a lot of pressure downwards on your pelvic floor, and it can also put a lot of pressure on the front of your body, so you're more likely to end up with things like a hernia or a diastasis. So just making sure that if you're doing any kind of lifting, or and it might be, you know, not even baby related, this is a good tip just generally. If you're getting, you know, you're lifting out of the trunk of your car, you know, breathe out as you do that. So that's my second tip. The last one would be around posture. And posture can have a really big effect on how we see ourselves, but also how other people see us. So for kind of your own self-image, posture can be really important. So just making, I'm going to turn to the side so you can see, trying to get an alignment between your hip, your rib cage, your shoulder, and then your ear as well, so that we're not in this forward head posture. Like, a lot of the time we'll end up, you know, with our phone like this and with our neck like this. So just bringing it back into alignment. And also if you're feeding baby, whether you're breastfeeding or bottle feeding, a lot of the time we're looking downwards and kind of bringing our neck forwards, and we can end up with a lot of shoulder and back pain and pain in the neck as well. So just kind of keeping that alignment is a really good thing for our clients to do.
I'm like sitting, like trying to sit up straighter now. Everything
It's so funny. Everyone does that. Literally, like if I introduce this topic in my groups, everyone's like, suddenly everyone's trying to sit up what they think is straight. So it's really amusing. I'm like, don't worry, guys. We're going to work on this.
That's a good reminder, though. Yeah, I love how you like the straight line, and then that is so true. Like I do notice when I'm looking at my phone, like my neck is like into it. So yeah, that's a great reminder. Keep your ear
and for anybody, you know, whether you're pregnant, whether you're postpartum, or you know, if you don't have kids yet, then that's a good tip. So yeah,
I love that.
Applicable to everybody.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. So was that the last tip for?
Yeah,
okay.
So that was our 3 tips. So we had the 360-degree breathing, so making sure that you're moving your ribs. Exhaling on exertion, so anytime you pick something up, breathe out, and then posture as well. So just trying to stay in that alignment. And it's interesting, like looking at your own posture in a mirror. It's hard to take a selfie and look at your posture because you're kind of doing weird movements with your arm. But if you stand in front of a full-length mirror and look at your posture, you suddenly realize, oh, wait a minute. I do this all the time. Like I have my desk set up with a mirror kind of at my side, and I'm like, oh no, not again. But it's a constant checking in. You know, this isn't after either. So, but anytime you realize it's good to kind of bring it back to that alignment. So.
Yeah. Are there things that you find are like common when you were like in home and you were visiting your patients? Were the things that you kind of saw across the board that like everyone sort of needed help or reminders about outside of the three tips that you gave?
Yeah, I think how you bend and how you move to look after baby is a big one.
Okay.
Everybody does everything in a very protective way of baby because that's very instinctive. You know, you're kind of in this kind of protective posture a lot of the time. If you're bending to change a diaper, you're not necessarily doing it in the right way. You're just bending your back because that's kind of easiest in a way.
Yeah.
So a lot of the tips that I give are around just making sure that you're bending from your hips, so keeping your back straight as you bend, if you can, or squatting down. So if baby's,
Mhm.
having a bit of tummy time on the floor, it doesn't mean
Yeah.
that you have to be bending over to kind of look at them. You can kind of either do a squat to the floor, and kind of sit in different ways. So people tend to have their preferred ways of sitting on the floor. Maybe they sit
Mhm.
always with their legs off to one side, and that can lead to some imbalances and some pain sometimes. So just kind of varying it and switching it up is a good thing, definitely.
Okay, awesome. So tell us a little bit about like if people want to find like an occupational therapist, like I know at least here in Ohio, that wasn't something that was shared with me or like recommended for me was to see like occupational therapy. And you did say that it's newer. So how can people like seek out occupational therapy and how do people know if they need it?
Mm-hmm. So usually if you can do a Google search on women's health occupational therapist, usually
Okay.
someone within your area will come up. You can
Okay.
also, if anything does come up that's not in your local area, occupational therapists are really nice. So you could just email who comes up and ask for a recommendation. Usually we know someone who's in a different state, or we can contact somebody through one of our links.
Oh, okay. That's awesome. Okay. So it's easy to find occupational therapists, and then how can people evaluate if they need an occupational therapist, or would you say that it's just a good rule of thumb just to see an occupational therapist if you're newly postpartum or
Yeah.
expecting?
It's
Yeah.
one of those things, kind of like pelvic floor therapy, that
Mhm.
everyone could probably benefit from. And one of my goals eventually is to get this into more kind of pre and postnatal education, because this isn't kind of a niche thing that only some people can benefit from. Some will benefit more than others, but there are
Yeah.
tips that we can give everybody that are useful. So I would say if you feel like you're struggling and you're feeling like motherhood or parenthood is more difficult than you were thinking, then please do reach out. It's great to have that contact, and you can mention it to your pediatrician or to your OB. It may be because this is kind of a newer area of practice, they may not have come
Yeah.
across, and often they think pelvic floor therapist is definitely like a physical therapist, whereas occupational therapists also work in that area. So as long as you're kind of connecting with those professionals, I think you're going to get the referrals to the right place, and you can request them. I think there's a lot around kind of self-advocacy, which is super hard to do when you're really tired and a new parent. So just kind
Yeah.
of putting that in the back of people's minds that it's okay to ask for that help.
Yeah, so speaking of like occupational therapists and maternal health, like is that something that you can do while you are still pregnant? Is like search out and meet occupational therapists. That way when you are in the fourth trimester and you are tired, you already have that information, or like how soon do you guys work with expecting families?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh,
And I think that kind of prenatal education is a really great piece if you can get that in before. So
okay.
my groups that I run, for example, I take women from the second trimester onwards, and I have had
Oh,
several women who were, pregnant for the whole of the group. They didn't. It's a mom and baby group, but they didn't yet
oh,
have had their baby before the end of the group. So, and that's great because they have usually a little more time and they're slightly less sleep deprived. I know sleep is not necessarily easy when you're pregnant, so I kind of shy away from saying that too
right.
much. But
Yeah.
usually that gives you that little bit extra just education around what you might need before you come to need it. And it can be helpful in pregnancy too. I know a lot of women who have carpal tunnel issues because of swelling
Mhm.
during pregnancy. So again, occupational therapists can help with that too.
Okay, awesome. So from second trimester, you can start to seek an occupational therapist onward throughout the pregnancy or the postpartum period.
Exactly, I would say so. That's
Okay.
a good time to kind of in the same way that you would start to look into maybe pediatricians before you had the baby, it
Yeah.
might be that you want to kind of seek out some support beforehand so that you've got everything kind of planned. I know a lot more women now are starting to make postpartum plans, which is great. And
Yeah.
OTs can definitely be a part of that.
Okay, that's fantastic. So, are there any other final things or tips or hacks or thoughts that you want to leave everyone with about occupational therapy and maternal health?
Um, just that we are kind of a new service to support parents. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like it's an important area that is kind of missed a lot of the time. We work a lot
Yeah.
around advocacy for parents and kind of coordinating the different services. We can work with that too.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a growing area and super needed. So yeah, please do reach out for support if you need.
Okay. And Lisa, tell everybody like about any of your classes or groups that you have coming up, and then also share with people like how they can find you online if this is something that they want to take advantage of, or get a recommendation from you for someone else.
Awesome. Yes. So my website is nurture, NURTUREOT.com. There are free resources on there if you go to the resource tab.
Oh, no.
So there's some resources for parents and also for occupational therapists who are looking to work in maternal health. Um, there's resources on there. There's also my Growing Together group, which is we'll be starting the next run in early August. So that's coming up super soon. I think
Oh,
it's the
okay.
7th
Yep.
is our first group. And this is self-care for moms and connection for moms and infant development and play for babies. So it's kind of that dual purpose. A lot of mom and baby groups, we kind of go along and, you know, it's all about baby, but this is for both. And it's really connecting moms and making sure that they have access to others who are going through the same thing. We talk about some of the issues that maybe I've discussed today, things like posture, return to exercise is a big one, because a lot of the time we'll be told at the 6-week appointment that, you know, it's okay to go back to exercise, you're cleared now, and our
Yeah.
body's always ready. So it's getting some rehab exercises so that you can get back to that and at a kind of a pace that's appropriate to you. So
Yeah.
yeah, we've got all of that in the groups. That's available in the mom and baby tab. So there's a for parents tab along the top, and there's mom and baby groups in there, so you can access it through that as well. And that's actually done in conjunction with a local nonprofit.
Oh,
So
nice. Okay.
yeah, so that supports them too. Yeah. So
That's
check out the
awesome.
website. There's lots of stuff for you there.
Okay, so everyone check out the website. Go ahead and follow Lisa as well. That way you can get updates on what she has coming. And then make sure to join her group, which is starting on August the 7th, which is the next group, and it will be virtual. And Lisa, tell everybody, where are you physically located? I know we're still kind of in pandemic times, but just in case there is a situation where someone would rather come see you in person at some point.
Yes, so you may be confused by my accent because I'm originally from the UK, but I'm actually based near San Francisco now. So in San Francisco Bay Area, kind of halfway between San Jose and San Francisco. I do virtual online one-to-one sessions within the state of California, and I also have the mom and baby groups, and I can refer outwards. There are other OTs in different states who are working in this area. So if that's not your state, we can find an OT for you.
Okay. Okay, awesome. Well, Lisa, thank you so much for lending us your time and expertise. I'm so excited that we got to chat with occupational therapist expert because that's something that I really wanted to let everyone know. Just like pelvic floor therapists, I feel like occupational therapy is something people don't know a whole lot about. So thank you so much for taking time to share that information with us.
Thank you so much for hosting today. It's been great to chat. Thank you, Jeriel.
Yeah, and thank you so much, everybody, for joining and everyone who stayed to the end. Make sure to follow Lisa, DM her any questions that you have, check out her website, and I will see you guys tomorrow at the same time. So, bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.